In the heart of Briarwood, a town choked by secrets and shadow, stood the Hollow House, a decaying relic from a time long forgotten. Its boarded windows seemed to watch passersby, cloaked in a shroud of dust and despair. Legend spoke of strange occurrences. A light flickering in the attic at night, ghostly figures wandering the grounds, and whispers carried by the wind. Most dismissed these tales as mere folklore, but not Evelyn Grant, a journalist known for her skepticism and sharp wit. As Evelyn parked her car on the cracked asphalt of the overgrown driveway, she felt a shiver crawl down her spine, an unwelcome omen. She grabbed her camera and notebook, steeling herself against the unease that clung to the air like fog. This was not her first investigation, but something about the Hollow House felt different, charged with a palpable energy that set her nerves on edge. Pushing through the creaking gate, Evelyn approached the front door, its paint peeling and splintering, revealing the raw wood beneath. She raised her camera, snapping a photo of the house, the flash momentarily illuminating the entryway. A fleeting shadow darted past the corner of her eye, but when she turned, nothing was there. Inside, the air was stale, heavy with the scent of mildew and forgotten memories. The wooden floorboards groaned beneath her weight, each step echoing in the cavernous silence. She wandered through the dilapidated rooms, their walls adorned with remnants of a past life. Faded photographs, tattered curtains, and broken furniture draped in dust. The deeper she ventured, the more oppressive the atmosphere became, as if the house itself was holding its breath. Evelyn set her notebook on a dusty table and began to jot down notes about the local legends, her pen scratching against the paper. It was then she heard it, a faint whisper, a soft voice carried on the draft that slithered through the hall. She froze, her heart pounding in her chest. "Help us?" The voice seemed to beckon, chilling her to the core. Determined to remain rational, she brushed it off as a trick of her mind. Yet, as she continued her exploration, the whispers grew louder, more insistent. They wove through the rooms like an unseen thread, wrapping around her thoughts, pulling her deeper into the house's twisted narrative. Each room told a story, a nursery filled with broken toys, a parlor lined with dusty portraits whose eyes seemed to follow her, and a kitchen that still bore the remnants of a long-abandoned meal. In the attic, she found an old trunk, its latch rusted shut. A feeling of dread washed over her as she pried it open. Inside, she discovered letters, frayed and yellowed with age, detailing the tragic history of the Hollow House. A family had lived here decades ago, plagued by misfortune and despair. The letters spoke of a darkness that descended upon them, of whispers that promised salvation but brought only suffering. Each line dripped with desperation, and as she read, the temperature in the attic plummeted, her breath fogging in the frigid air. Suddenly, a loud bang reverberated through the house, rattling the very foundation. Startled, Evelyn dropped the letters, her heart racing. She spun around, the dim light casting grotesque shadows that danced along the walls. A figure flickered at the edge of her vision. A woman in a tattered dress, her face obscured, weeping silently. Evelyn's breath hitched in her throat as she raised her camera, hoping to capture the apparition. But as she pressed the shutter, the figure vanished, leaving only the echo of her sobs. The whispers grew frantic now, a cacophony of sorrow and rage that filled her mind. "Leave, while you can." Instinctively, Evelyn backed away, her heart racing as she stumbled through the attic door. The whispers morphed into screams, reverberating through the hallways, urging her to escape. She ran, tearing through the darkened rooms, the air thickening with a malevolent presence. As she burst through the front door, gasping for breath, the chilling whispers followed her, fading into the distance but never quite leaving. She looked back at the Hollow House, its silhouette looming against the twilight sky, an eternal guardian of the secrets within. Evelyn drove away, her heart still pounding, but the whispers echoed in her mind. The stories she once dismissed now weighed heavily on her, an insistent reminder that some legends hold more truth than others. The house was silent now, but in her dreams, she would hear the cries of the lost, forever haunting her, a lingering fear etched into her very soul. Days turned into weeks, yet the hollow house lingered in Evelyn's thoughts, an inescapable shadow. She immersed herself in research, delving into old newspaper archives and town records, piecing together the fragmented history of the house and its inhabitants. The more she uncovered, the more she felt a magnetic pull towards the place. One evening, while sorting through her notes, Evelyn stumbled upon an article detailing a series of mysterious disappearances in Briarwood, all connected to the hollow house. The chilling details sent a tremor through her. Every missing person had been last seen near the house, their fates obscured by time and silence. The lingering question gnawed at her. Was she merely a curious journalist, or had the house chosen her as its next victim? Compelled by an unshakable urgency, Evelyn decided to return to the hollow house, this time armed with more than just her notebook and camera. She brought a voice recorder, determined to capture the whispers that had haunted her since her last visit. As she parked her car, the oppressive atmosphere seemed to close in around her, wrapping her in a shroud of unease. Stepping inside once more, the air felt thick with anticipation. The shadows seemed to pulse, and the silence was almost deafening. She felt the weight of the house's history pressing down on her, and the sense of being watched returned with a vengeance. Each creak of the floorboards echoed like a warning. Evelyn moved cautiously through the rooms, her recorder clasped tightly in her hand. She paused in the nursery, the memories of broken toys and dusty walls flooding her senses. "If there are any spirits here," she began, her voice steady despite the tremor beneath, "I want to hear your story." For a moment nothing happened. Then, like a whisper carried on the wind, she heard it, a soft, childlike giggle. It sent a shiver down her spine, and she felt a chill race across her skin. The laughter was innocent yet laced with an underlying sadness that twisted her stomach. She glanced around, heart pounding, but the room was empty. "Who's there?" she called out, her voice trembling. Silence enveloped her once more, the kind that pressed against her ears. But when she reviewed the recording, her breath caught in her throat. The giggle was there, clear as day, followed by a faint whisper, "Help us." The weight of the house's sorrow was palpable now, a suffocating presence that urged her to uncover the truth. She moved to the parlor, where the portraits hung like sentinels. One painting in particular caught her eye, a woman with striking green eyes, an expression of both melancholy and defiance. She felt an inexplicable connection, as if the woman were calling to her. "Who are you?" Evelyn whispered, half hoping for a response. Instead, the temperature dropped sharply, and the shadows thickened around her. The air grew heavy, pregnant with tension, and she could almost hear the house breathing, its very walls alive with secrets. Suddenly, the lights flickered, plunging the room into darkness. Panic surged as she fumbled for her phone, the dim glow illuminating the room just enough for her to see the outlines of furniture. She turned, heart racing, feeling an unseen force brush past her. The air hummed with energy, and the whispers returned, now a chorus of urgent voices, each vying for her attention. "Leave the child. Save us," they echoed, the urgency palpable. The words twisted around her, binding her to the spot, and a vision flashed in her mind. A small girl, trapped and alone, her eyes wide with fear. Evelyn's instincts kicked in. She had to find this child, or whatever remained of her spirit. Grabbing her recorder, she shouted into the darkness. "Where are you? I can help." The voices grew louder, swirling around her, an urgent wind that tugged at her clothes. As the light flickered back on, she saw the outline of the little girl standing at the edge of the room, her hair unkempt and her dress tattered, much like the woman in the painting. Evelyn's heart raced as she felt a mix of terror and determination. "I'm here," she said, stepping forward. "I'll help you. Just show me where you are." The girl's eyes widened, glimmering with hope and fear. She raised a finger, pointing towards the staircase that led to the attic. The whispers intensified, a cacophony of fear and longing. Without hesitating, Evelyn followed the girl, her heart pounding in rhythm with the echoing footsteps that seemed to accompany her. Each step up the staircase felt like a descent into a deeper darkness, the air growing heavier with every inch. As she reached the attic door, it creaked open of its own accord, revealing a dimly lit space filled with dust and shadow. "Help us," the girl whispered, her voice barely audible, and Evelyn's resolve solidified. Whatever lay ahead, she was ready to confront it, to unearth the secrets that had haunted this house for too long. But as she stepped inside, the door slammed shut behind her, plunging her into darkness. The whispers became a roar, and she felt the room shift around her, the very walls pulsating with the weight of unspeakable truths. Evelyn took a deep breath, knowing she had crossed a threshold from which there might be no return. The echoes of the past converged, and she was ready to uncover the house's darkest secrets, even if it meant facing her own fears head-on. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you liked this story. The air in the attic was thick and oppressive, swirling with a sense of impending dread. Evelyn's pulse quickened as she squinted into the dimness, straining to make out any shapes lurking in the shadows. The little girl stood before her, an ethereal figure surrounded by a haze of dust motes that danced in the feeble light. "Where are you?" Evelyn whispered, her voice trembling. The girl only pointed towards a corner, her small frame seemingly fading in and out of view, as if she were struggling against the very fabric of the house. Evelyn took a hesitant step forward, her feet crunching on debris. As she neared the corner, she felt a cold breeze sweep through the attic, and the whispers crescendoed into a cacophony. "Save her. Find the truth." They echoed in her ears, a haunting chorus that sent chills racing down her spine. In the corner lay a battered old trunk, its wood warped and covered in cobwebs. The air around it crackled with a strange energy, drawing her closer. She knelt beside it, the child still hovering nearby, watching intently. With trembling hands, Evelyn pried the trunk open, the rusty hinges groaning in protest. Inside, she found an assortment of forgotten items. Yellowed photographs, a dusty doll missing an eye, and crumpled letters. But what caught her attention was a small, intricately carved box nestled among the debris. She lifted it carefully, feeling a strange warmth emanating from it. As she opened the box, a soft light spilled out, illuminating the attic in a golden glow. Inside lay a delicate locket, its surface engraved with swirling patterns that seemed to pulse with life. The whispers shifted, transforming into a melody, a lullaby that resonated deep within her soul. Evelyn held the locket up to her chest, feeling an inexplicable connection to it. The child watched with wide, pleading eyes, and in that moment, Evelyn understood. This locket was a key, one that could unlock the sorrow binding the girl and the house. "Tell me what to do," Evelyn urged, her voice barely above a whisper. The girl stepped closer, her form shimmering. "You must wear it. It will help you see," she replied, her voice soft yet urgent. With a deep breath, Evelyn placed the locket around her neck. As the cool metal touched her skin, a rush of memories flooded her mind, visions of the house in its prime, filled with laughter and life, interspersed with dark flashes of sorrow and despair. She saw the family that once lived there, their joy slowly eroded by tragedy, culminating in a desperate final act that sealed their fates. The attic transformed around her, shifting like a living tapestry, revealing glimpses of the past. She saw the woman from the portrait, cradling a baby in her arms, tears streaming down her face. The child was the one before her, the spirit of a lost girl, caught in the web of her family's grief. "Why can't you move on?" Evelyn cried, desperate for answers. The girl's expression darkened, and the whispers became frantic. "She won't let us, she's trapped." Suddenly, the walls of the attic trembled, and the temperature dropped further. Shadows coiled in the corners, swirling like a tempest. The girl's form flickered, her features twisting in anguish. "You must free her." Before Evelyn could respond, a cold wind swept through the attic, sending the contents of the trunk flying across the room. The whispers turned into screams, a chaotic symphony of fear and pain. The door behind her rattled violently, and the air felt electric with rage. "Find the truth. Set us free." the girl cried, her voice barely discernible amid the chaos. With a jolt of determination, Evelyn pushed against the fear coursing through her veins. She had come too far to turn back now. As the shadows surged toward her, she reached for the locket, its warmth igniting a spark of courage. She closed her eyes, envisioning the family she had glimpsed in her visions. "I will help you," she vowed, her voice steady. "I will reveal your story." In that moment, a blinding light engulfed the attic, illuminating every corner and casting away the darkness. The screams transformed into a harmonious melody, echoing with hope and sorrow intertwined. Evelyn felt the weight of the house shift, the very foundation trembling as the air thickened with emotion. As the light began to dim, she opened her eyes to find the attic transformed. The oppressive darkness had lifted, replaced by a shimmering glow. The girl stood before her, no longer a spectral figure but a radiant presence, filled with peace. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice like a gentle breeze. "Now you must find the woman. She needs you." With that, the girl's form dissolved into a cascade of light, filling the attic with warmth. Evelyn turned, her heart racing as she faced the remnants of the past, determined to uncover the truth that had been buried within the walls of the hollow house for too long. Yet, as she stepped toward the staircase, a voice echoed from behind her, a low, menacing growl that sent her heart plummeting. "You should not have come here," it hissed, reverberating through the walls, thick with malice. Evelyn's pulse quickened, and she spun around, her breath catching in her throat as the shadows coalesced into a dark figure. The woman from the portrait emerged, her face twisted with rage and despair. "You will pay for this intrusion." In that moment, Evelyn understood that the battle was far from over. She had awakened something ancient and vengeful, and now, she had to confront the source of the hollow house's torment before it consumed her whole. The woman from the portrait loomed before Evelyn, her once sorrowful visage now twisted into an expression of fury. The shadows writhed around her, dark tendrils reaching out like grasping hands. Evelyn's heart raced as she realized that this spirit was the anchor of the house's torment, the source of its unending grief. "Leave this place," the woman bellowed, her voice resonating with a power that shook the very walls. "You know nothing of my pain." Evelyn took a step back, but the locket around her neck pulsed with warmth, grounding her amidst the chaos. "I know your story," she shouted, her voice stronger than she felt. "I know what happened here, and I'm here to help you find peace." The woman's eyes flickered with uncertainty, and for a brief moment, the rage faded. "You cannot understand," she spat, though there was a hint of desperation in her voice. "I lost everything, my child, my love, all taken from me." "I know," Evelyn replied, her voice steadying as she recalled the visions of the family's joy before tragedy struck. "But holding on to this anger won't bring them back. You're hurting others by refusing to let go." The shadows surged forward, threatening to engulf Evelyn, but she held her ground. "Your daughter needs you," she urged, clutching the locket tightly. "Let me help you find her. We can heal together." The woman hesitated, the shadows wavering as doubt flickered in her eyes. "How can I trust you?" she whispered, her voice cracking. "Because I believe in the love you had for her," Evelyn said, her heart racing with a mixture of fear and determination. "Let me show you what remains. Let me help you remember the joy instead of the sorrow." With a fierce cry, Evelyn focused all her energy into the locket. The room around her filled with light, illuminating the memories trapped within. She envisioned the little girl, the laughter, the joy, the love that had once filled the hollow house. The radiant glow enveloped the woman, and for a moment, she seemed to flicker between fury and anguish. "Look," Evelyn urged, pointing toward the shadows. "Your daughter is still here, waiting for you." The shadows twisted and writhed, but from within them emerged the child, her small form glowing with an ethereal light. The woman's expression transformed from rage to longing, her heart breaking as she reached out. "My baby, I thought I lost you forever." In that moment of vulnerability, the connection between mother and daughter sparked like a flame, illuminating the darkness. The shadows recoiled, releasing their hold on the house as the whispers faded into a gentle melody. "Let go," Evelyn whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks as she watched the reunion unfold. "Let the love you shared guide you home." The woman hesitated, torn between her grief and the overwhelming love she felt for her child. Slowly, she nodded, and as she did, the darkness began to dissolve, dissipating like mist in the morning sun. The child rushed into her mother's arms, and the two figures embraced, bathed in a warm golden light. As they melted into one another, the oppressive atmosphere of the hollow house lifted, leaving behind a profound stillness. The walls, once heavy with sorrow, felt lighter, as if the weight of years had finally been lifted. Evelyn stood in the now bright attic, the remnants of the shadows fading into memory. The locket around her neck radiated warmth, a reminder of the love that had triumphed over despair. She felt a sense of peace wash over her, a clarity that she had never known before. But the journey was not over. As the last echoes of the whispers faded, Evelyn knew that she had to share the story, a testament to love, loss, and the power of letting go. She turned to leave the attic, feeling the walls no longer suffocating, but embracing her as she stepped into the light. Outside, the sun was setting, casting a golden glow over the hollow house. The air felt different, freer, lighter. As Evelyn walked away, she took one last glance at the now quiet house, a sense of gratitude swelling in her heart. The town of Briarwood, once shrouded in shadows, was ready to heal, and so was she. With the weight of the past lifted, Evelyn felt a new purpose stirring within her. She would write the story of the hollow house, of the family it had lost, and the love that ultimately freed them. As she drove away, the melody of the lullaby lingered in her mind, a beautiful reminder of the light that can emerge even from the darkest of places. The whispers were no more, but in their place remained the echoes of a love that transcended time, an everlasting bond that would live on through the stories told and the hearts touched by the hollow house. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you liked this story.